Today we're going to begin our endocrinology section with a term called responsiveness. Responsiveness is a term that you will see if you are taking an undergrad endocrinology course, a physiology course, or even a biology course. So it's really important to know this term and understand what it means. Today we're going to specifically contrast these two by talking about hyporesponsiveness and hyperresponsiveness. So, starting with hyporesponsiveness, this would be classified as a decrease in response to a hormone, while hyperresponsiveness is the exact opposite, and it is an increase in response to a hormone. Hypo, the prefix, means below normal, while hyper is a prefix that means above normal. And in physiology, we're always trying to stay in that healthy balance between the two. We don't want to sway in one way too low or in one way too high. So another term you may see associated with hyporesponsiveness is the term called hormone resistance. And this is due to the issue that it is performing below expectations, and we're going to cover some of the reasons why they may happen. Reason number one is that we have a defect in our receptor on the target cell. So we know from cell signaling that the interaction between the ligand of the receptor and the receptor itself is crucial. If you have a defect in the receptor, there's not going to be appropriate binding to cause the desired outcome. So that's reason number one. Number two is a defect in the target cell's signaling cascade. So, in this case, if that's the reason, our receptor that we talked about before is fine. It can perform the lock and key interaction between the hormone and the receptor perfectly. The issue is after that binding occurs, there is an issue or a blockage in the pathway of that transduction pathway. So that would cause for the cell also to not produce the desired outcome. The third possible reason is there is a defect in the cell, specifically with enzymes. If you've taken any kind of biology course or biochemistry specifically, you know that enzymes catalyze reactions all day, all night. And if there's a defect in the metabolism or a pathway, it can cause issues for the cell. So in this case, if we're missing an enzyme or the enzyme itself is defective, it can also cause hyporesponsiveness. A good example for you to remember for hyporesponsiveness is type 2 diabetes. One of the probable reasons for type 2 diabetes is the issue of the target cell not responding to insulin correctly, and therefore it has an insulin resistance. So that's hyporesponsiveness. Hyperresponsiveness, another term you'll see associated with this is hormone loving. So a good example I like to remember for this one is the Cookie Monster. If you guys are a 90s kid, you already know Cookie Monster can't get enough cookies. He's super intense. He loves his cookies. So that usually correlates to having a very heightened or amplified response in response to a hormone binding to the receptor. So I hope this information helped you kind of understand and contrast the difference between those two. And I will see you guys in the next lesson.